everyone, welcome back to Flow State Reactions. I am Mistari and I am here yet again to react to The Lord of the Ring. This is behind the scenes and this is the appendices for Return of the King, and we are now on New Zealand as Middle Earth. Okay. And yes, I just finished watching Home of the Horse Lords, which was a magnificent behind the scenes videos all about the horses of Middle Earth, and it just, the ending just sent me over the edge and I actually started crying. So you know, I want to get this next video in, so try to get my mood back up. You know, I feel good. It was just very touching, and so, you know, I'm just in that kind of space, so I hope nothing happens that's going to trigger me again. Okay. One of the things that is embarrassing about doing reaction videos is, you know, I can be a little emotional at times, and it's a little embarrassing. I've seen, so, you know, when I go into editing and I'm like, oh God. I realize I don't like editing when I'm crying. The other video I did where the spiders came and I was having a panic attack, like I just wasn't ready for that. So yeah, this will be interesting. I particularly enjoy editing the scenes where I'm laughing, though, where I'm laughing hysterically, where I'm just tickled to death. I love editing those scenes because I'm cracking up as I'm editing. But the tears and the panic, you know, that's hard. So I was trying to keep those tears in. I don't know if you saw it, but dang, it got me. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's interesting because I didn't cry with Viggo, even though I was feeling very emotional, and I didn't cry with the Luthien and Baron story of Tolkien and his wife, and that was very touching, and it was there, it was close, but I managed to hold it in. But that Viggo buying that woman that horse, dang, that got me. But anyway, all right, you guys, we're just gonna go ahead and get into this next video. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. All right, if you enjoy any of my videos, then please do not hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and share, all that good stuff. Every gesture of support helps me out here on YouTube. Okay, all right, you guys, 1, 2, 3, let's flow.
We found an area that had been burnt and decided to use that as the culvert of Mordor, where some of the early sequences of the third film was shot.
So we put our wall across here, culvert spilling out, and the Hobbit's pretty much where Brett is. So it was just
look at that
desolation, all the beautiful sort of tree trunks all there with the limbs all sticking.
That's so crazy. We're just gonna add a wall here.
Sort of grey and black. A battlefield. It's like what the World War One Passchendaele type battlefield. So we sort of walked down in amongst it, and you know, on the ground was a sort of layer of probably, you know, 2 or 3 inches of ash, ash and burnt sort of foliage.
It had burnt not by you know, human activity. It just burnt on its own. So we're very lucky to have found that, because it would have been a very difficult place to have staged.
You certainly got the feeling that it was the destruction of Mordor, you know, that sort of destruction of life.
The location for the fallen king, the Sam and Frodo come across, that was shot in this amazing place called Makara, which is basically towards the southern coast outside of Wellington.
We hadn't really had a lot of time to scout for potential locations, and ultimately we did so, but it was kind of fairly close to the time when we needed to shoot it. Peter didn't have an opportunity to come out and visit it, and it ended up being a...
So he didn't do every scene.
Macro location proposed for the Morgul Crossroads.
I mean, Peter didn't go to every single location.
The way that we would approach it coming towards...
Just not enough time.
This direction here is towards Minas Morgul, and the road that comes down and meets the road, which will sort of cross here. One direction goes up the main access route into the site, which we'll address as far as these fallen logs.
an incredibly windy place, and that's why you get this great look of these windswept trees that have been sort of pushed around by these huge winds that come between the two islands, the North and the South Island.
That was a great benefit to us. These great shaped trees with these partly dead limbs sticking out of them at odd angles was part of their beauty.
Greenstone Station.
The Dunharrow encampment itself was shot in this beautiful location on the opposite side from Queenstown on Lake Wakatipu.
And the place we filmed
Wakatipu.
was 3/4 around that lake in a place called Greenstone.
Greenstone River is one of the most beautiful and good fishing river too. I don't know now. It's probably so popular from these movies.
Oh God, maybe I should have waited to watch this. Just seeing Viggo has reminded me of his generosity,
Way down below.
generous spirit.
It was a 2-hour drive from Queenstown, and a lot of it was over windy gravel road, and in some places only one lane. So it was logistically a very difficult location to get to, particularly given that they wanted 200 horses and riders out there.
And I know there was a lot of discussion about trying to find a more logistical friendly location. But we did look around a lot of places for the Dunharrow camp, but we never found anywhere as good as the Greenstone that had a field and it had trees, and it was just a perfect layout.
The Dunharrow Plateau, we actually filmed it at a little quarry in Mount Victoria in Wellington.
Peter's original concept was that we would shoot half the camp like a split screen and then move it over and then shoot the other half.
That was filmed just around the bay from where I was living in Wellington.
It was a disused quarry that had sort of grassed over and was part of the town belt, which is sort of park area in the middle of town. A lot of the shots that we filmed of the Dunharrow Plateau were done there.
There was enough room to put, about 8 tents on there, space in between, and have this rocky kind of, foliage behind it. And that's where we shot the physical location of Aragorn walking across from his tent to Theoden's tent.
So we basically had one location that was in Wellington, the other down in the deep south, and they brought them together with CGI and it.
Oh,
Like
look
it
at
was all in one
that.
place.
Okay. Very interesting. I like how we're going through the map like this.
When we came to Lord of the Rings, we were thinking about where we could shoot the approach to the Paths of the Dead through the Dimhold mountain range. Actually, that bad in here, really. It's not too bad. It's a possibility we should think about for the Dimhold Road. We looked around, but we couldn't find anywhere else. And I remembered the pinnacles.
The Patangirua Pinnacles. That's a really amazing formation of rocks and shingle just on the south coast of the Wairarapa, just out of Wellington.
My parents took me there when I was a kid. I'd been to the pinnacles 2 or 3 times. Ever since my childhood.
We flew by helicopter from Wellington
Okay.
across the bays to these very fine peaks. It was an incredible location.
It's this very eroded valley with this kind of limestone rock formations where it's just eroded away and left these incredible fingers of stone pointing up to the sky.
A lot of it looks a lot like the Badlands in South Dakota. Just sort of a seemingly lifeless place. Perfect for the Paths of the Dead. Just this very forbidding, harsh environment.
It was a great spot to do the Dimhold Road, which leads to the Path of the Dead, because it has these incredibly steep, narrow sort of crevices.
This is, I think, Dimhold Road, the best one we've seen, which is quite broad. Getting tighter and tighter all the time. There is an issue to do with probably a hard hit area in a way.
Oh.
Stones fall.
You had to be careful when you went into narrow caverns because it is so unstable that a huge rock could fall from a height. And
there's danger lurking around every corner of the movie set.
Would look around and you had a sense
what in the world?
Being quite a
this is a movie.
Geographical place.
Twizzle.
Calor Fields is a major sequence in the film. This is the ground right between Osgiliath and Minas Tirith. We looked for a flat plains that had some hills in the background.
We also wanted to have that feeling like, almost like fields of grain could have been planted there. It kind of had that, beigey sort of dry ground landscape.
We found a location in the middle of the South Island of New Zealand, a small town called Twizel.
In an area called Mackenzie country. Okay. A lot of Scottish people live there. It's the original settlers there were Scottish, and Mackenzie being a colourful character that the area is sort of named after from the 19th century.
The communities there were basically built up for all these hydro dams that have been created.
Oh, look at that water.
Different lakes and waterways that were in that area.
And Twizel was built as a town to house the workers that built this hydroelectric system. And then as the dams were built, the town sort of dwindled. And then over time, it's become somewhat of a retirement community, and people have moved into these housing that were originally built to house the workers on the dams.
Twizel was you bring a lot of books to Twizel, and you bring a lot of music, and you're aware
bring a lot of books.
Go to bed early. I mean, they had one bar where we played pool quite a lot.
The property we filmed on there was N.O. House Station.
And we used that same field for filming both Baramir's charge towards Osgiliath and also the attack of the riders of the Rohirrim as they swept down towards the Orcs.
There is a little hillock just over here, which would be good for that third and coming up onto the rise, and it's quite steep on the other side, so you get a fast reveal.
It's a very bleak, in the middle of nowhere, snow-capped mountains completely surrounding it. Stunningly beautiful. It's rolling desert land.
Twizel's a gorgeous place. It's absolutely stunning. And on my few minutes off that I had down there, I'd drive around the area. And
every place in New Zealand is stunning. Like, it's just remarkable. There's so much land that is untouched.
It's a remarkable spot because you've got this beautiful plateau to be able to do these really grand shots. And in the distance are these amazing mountains. You've got Mount Cook off in the distance, Mount Aspiring, the whole Southern Alps range. It was a beautiful place to shoot.
Didn't you say Cook off and Aspiring? Aspiring?
It was also great just to kind of be there as a visitor.
Oh, look at that.
We're around the other side of Rupe, off Desert Road in a place called the Rangapo Desert.
We location scouted all around New Zealand for this location, which was a very particular look outside the Black Gates. I guess the purpose of this recce is to nail down a position for where these soldiers would be and where Aragorn, just know whereabouts we're going to shoot.
Yeah.
And nail down a position for the Black Gates.
It's this area.
Peter just wears shorts everywhere.
Unlike the other part of New Zealand, really. It looks like
everybody else got on jeans, pants.
It was flat and it was, it was kind of like a desert, and it was just a nice place to film it. There was nothing around 360.
So we're basically looking for a sort of a bit of raised ground in front of a big bit of flat ground with a sort of raised ground that we can park some soldiers on. The only place we could find that was expansive enough and had the right terrain was a piece of the military training area near Mount Ruapehu in the central North Island. And in fact, within this whole military training area, which is, 20 or 30 miles in circumference, there was only one place in the middle of that was really suitable with the featureless flat sands. And we looked around there with the army and we said, look, this is perfect. This is exactly where we need to shoot this scene. Great, we finally found it. You can't believe how hard it's been to find this location. We've searched all around the country and here it is. This is just amazing. And they looked at us kind of horrified and they said, well, this is our live firing zone. And we've basically been dropping bombs and firing artillery shells into this area for the last 30 years.
Before they would let us use this as a location, they first sent out a party to clear any live rounds that hadn't gone off.
The Rangapo Desert firing range
location. Didn't they have this issue with another location? Where there was like a shooting range
to be able to get
close by? Is this it?
Of people out there and never feel like you were sort of losing, any of the view, as well as just inspiring us because it was such a grand place to be in.
Yeah. Mount Ruapehu?
The locations that we used for Return of the King for Mordor
were pretty much the same location, certainly the same geographical area in New Zealand as the Emmanuel landscapes for Two Towers. It was it's a volcano called Rupe, and there's various areas around the volcano that we shot elements of Mordor.
Mount Rupe is basically in the central plateau of the North Island. It was one of our main North Island locations. It's still an active volcano. In 1995, there was quite huge eruptions and areas had to be evacuated.
We couldn't shoot the peaks because the peaks themselves were sacred to the local iwi, the Maori tribes that come from that area. That's why, in the end, when you see Mount Doom, you know, it's sometimes, in terms of the frame, not far from where actually Mount Rupe would be standing, but instead we have our, you know, created version of Mount Doom.
I see.
Mount Rupe had that same size. You know, it was just gigantic.
Being at the foot of an active volcano, it still has a lot of geothermal activity that's happening there.
Last night we were sitting in the lodge about 11:30 and felt the lodge shudder and some noise. Thought the generator had cracked itself and rushed outside and no problem, but we just smelt the sulphur in the air. And this morning we came out and it's all grey. So it did have a very minor, what we would call a belch.
And I know that there was that whole thing when we were there of please don't let this happen again, because, you know, if it was going to happen to any film, it was going to happen to us. But it would have been fabulous. We would have just shot it.
We must be crazy working up here on a work party and things like that on a volcano.
Mount Rupe.
Right, I know that's right. That's what I was thinking.
Really tough because it's a hard location. It's hard to get up to.
It's actually also a ski resort or ski field, complete with a lodge and chair lifts. And
are you serious?
When it's not ski season, you can actually take the chairlift up before lunch.
What in the world?
Back down.
You got
lunch.
active volcanoes and this resort ski lifts. Too funny.
You know, cry and suffer.
Hi, Sean.
So the Whakapapa ski field on one side of Rupehu, that was used for a lot of the salmon frodo crawling up, you know, working their way up Mount Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Then on the other side of the mountain, there's a place called Tino, another ski area, much more rugged, isolated, basic, less refined area, really high up on the mountain towards the cone of the volcano. There's this one ravine that during the eruption just got washed out by this molten lava that just came screaming down this ravine and carved out this huge ravine. And I thought, wow, that's a great shot. As Frodo and Sam coming up, and Frodo starts stumbling along. I remember Sean was eating his blueberry pancakes, and I broke his heart by saying, come on, Sean, we got to go to work, and we got to go to work now. And we dashed off, and we got all 6 different setups we wanted.
Wow. What? Really? That was it? Okay, before they move on to something else, thank you guys so much for joining me. That was another short video, but that was New Zealand as Middle Earth, so we got to see the beautiful landscape of New Zealand again. I'm so sorry, but when I saw Aragorn, I started welling up with tears again, so I was like literally trying to hold that back the whole video. That's one thing, when I get started, it's just so easy to start thinking about other stuff. And every time I would see him, I would just be like, oh, that was so touching. So I probably should have just waited until some other time to watch this particular video. But, you know, I wanted to get it in. So I just wasn't expecting that, to see Aragorn and just start tearing up. You'll see it when it happens. But it was such a remarkable gesture, you know what I mean? And I can only imagine how that woman felt, and just I can't even get that out of my mind. Everybody went home with horses. It's just so wonderful, that particular video. And this is too, just to see New Zealand. I've said it before that it's just so much land, like so much land, and it's beautiful, just breathtaking, remarkable locations that, you know, where the land has just been untouched, just been preserved over all of these years, and they don't have to add anything to it. It's just beautiful. All they have to do is just put up their set, put up what they're going to put up, and just say action. It's just so wonderful of a backdrop to have, nature's backdrop, you know. So good for them. I'm glad he mentioned that at one of the locations, he was like, it was crunch time. We didn't really have a lot of time to figure out where we're gonna shoot this, and Peter didn't have a chance to see it yet. And so that, was a realistic moment where it's like, okay, Peter was not there, which meant that the decision had to be made, with the people who were there. And so, I just like seeing just that level of realism. It's like, it's so overwhelming, this movie making process. They did all of these videos at back to back to back, and so that would make sense. Like, you can't be involved in every single part of the project, but they still managed to pull it off. Like, I think that's why I really love these appendices, is because the project itself is so massive that there's so many things that we just would never have known. Just like when they were talking about in the other video, where they had to go out into the fields, to have to send people that you to go out and just feel around on the soil to make sure that there aren't any rabbit holes, because you don't want the horses to break their legs. Like, things like that. Like, every single video was uncovering things like that, to where it starts to add up, and you just really see that this is like an actual miracle that this was pulled off. And so I love that. I love that the appendices pulls the curtain back in that way, and it shows that. Because in the very beginning, I was like, I didn't want to know the magic trick, right? I thought it would spoil the Lord of the Rings for me, but it didn't. It didn't at all. It just added so many more layers of love and passion that I didn't have before. You know what I mean? So it's just very interesting, because my next watching of The Lord of the Rings is like, I'm going to be like a diehard fan. You know what I mean? Watching it. Like, I'm just in a completely different space than I was before, just because of what the appendices are doing to me, what they are doing to my insides, what they are doing to my heart, what they are doing to my mind. We learn a lot from this too. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here before I start welling up with tears again. It's like, I'm probably going to have this issue all day because that moment was just so overwhelming. And one of the parts of it is the fact that it's real life. Like, that is a real life thing that happened. Viggo, not Aragorn, not Strider, but Viggo actually bought this woman, that horse from the set. And just, it's too good. All right, you guys, thank you for joining me, and I will continue on with the rest of the video some other time. Okay? All right, until next time, let's roll.